Welcome. You're watching the Thrift Store Rundown's Odyssey to the Oscars, where we bring the Academy Awards home on a budget. Law and religion. I know. Shoot me, please, or nail me to a wooden T. Actually, don't do that. We're going to talk about how law and religion can sound so different when taken out of context that they almost become completely different experiences. Why? Because I've listened to both of these soundtracks out of context, meaning I didn't watch either of these films. So they almost sound like, respectively, a family film and an action thriller. Let's start off with the family film, To Kill a Mockingbird, which is certainly not a family film. It is a legal thriller, which certainly has a lot of timely reference today and relevance. This Bernstein Bond re-recording of Elmer Bernstein's Oscar-nominated score, with him conducting with his left hand, one of the few left-handed composers in Main Street media to conduct, the Royal Scottish National Orchestra. It was purchased for $149, and it played well. Let's take a look inside the packet here. We have liner notes to talk about from Kevin Mulhall, along with an illustration here, and a brief description of each track, and how each track in here plays out over the scene as it's transpiring on screen, matching the context of the film to the significance of the track. Main title: Remember Mama, Atticus Accepts the Case, Rolling the Tire, Creepy Caper, Peekaboo, Ewell's Hatred, Gem's Discovery, Tree Treasure, Guilty Verdict, You'll Regret It, Footsteps in the Dark, Assault in the Shadows, Boo-Hoo, and End Title. We have here a couple of themes here. The main theme and a theme for the children, which is definitely childlike, and the reason why I call this out of context a family film with a lot of legal thriller ambience to it. Of course, you have a brief biography of the composer and conductor, the late Elmer Bernstein. The film itself received several Oscars, but I feel like Elmer Bernstein got cheated out of his. At the end of this, we have here a listing for other Bernstein Bond film classics. This, by the way, is the first ever Bernstein Bond album I've ever purchased. I'm actually Facebook friends with the founder and head honcho of Bernstein Bond, Robert Townsend. So you'll want to go out and hunt down any of these film classics in this list. Jerry Goldsmith, John Barry, Bernard Herrmann, Alex North. All of which have since gone away, but their music stays. So this one's just a little under an hour. And it's recorded at City Halls in Glasgow. So 14 tracks in total. And I have to say, if you don't watch the film, but you listen to the soundtrack, it's almost as if you're listening to something entirely different. Which is why I think it's the main reason that Elmer didn't win this Oscar for this. But hey, you'll have to make that call for yourself. And of course, since we're dealing with paramount race problems here in this country, maybe it's worth giving the soundtrack a listening to, as well as watching the film. Why? Well, nobody can complain about Gregory Peck or Horton Foote's screenplay. From law to religion, from a family flick out of context to an action thriller out of context, we move on to the Academy Award nominated score for The Passion of the Christ by John Debney, who, by the way, is one of my favorite composers, and I find it a little weary to me that the first soundtrack I purchased from him is one that I really did not want to watch or listen to, The Passion of the Christ. But I knew it was one that would appeal to my dad. He's a born-again Christian. So, this portion of the video goes out to Dad. So we have here the track listing, 15 tracks, and it's definitely ethnic. Elmer Bernstein and To Kill a Mockingbird is melodic in a sense. It's definitely early 60s grandeur in terms of melody and thematic material. But for Passion of the Christ, if you haven't watched the film, yes, it definitely has its biblical moments. I mean, the full use of a choir, solo vocalists, ethnic vocalists, but it also has synth and battle drums as well. So, if you don't watch the film, it definitely makes it feel more like a typical action thriller with a lot of biblical and godlike elements to it. Track listing here, along with a full crew listing, and John Debney's acknowledgements. Chief among them, Mother Mary. For those who don't know, John Debney is a Christian. So, in other words, in layman's terms, he definitely has his head on straight. The orchestra is conducted by Nick Aikman, recorded in London. John Debney usually conducts his music himself. It's one of the most intimate ways of getting acquainted with his orchestras, whether in Los Angeles with the Hollywood Studio Symphony, or in London. But not conducting this, well, I guess that would have been too intense. But we have no playback problems to report up here, so this too is going to get the same rating as To Kill a Mockingbird does. It's kind of weird that they're both taken out of context and quite do not match up to the films themselves. But, in fairness, I give them both 4.5 out of 5 claps, for a total of 9 out of 10. They're still really good soundtracks. So good that for any Oscar buff, it should be against the law not to order either of them. So now that I preached my case, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. Remember, tomorrow's another awesome day, so long as I catch you on the flip side. Until then, stay golden, my friends.